Hey, witches!
Hi, hello, and welcome back. So today we are finally talking about Hunting
Hunting
Adeline.
Adeline?
Well, I about called it Haunting Adeline, and I wanted to
I know. Every time I've searched anything about Hunting Adeline, it's like, did you mean Haunting Adeline? And I'm like, no, bitch,
no.
I meant what I said.
I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. And it's like every time I try to look up because people, there's discussion websites all the time. There's
Mm-hmm.
AI, whatever. I was trying to find discussion anything, and
Everything
um
was haunting.
yeah, and I was sitting here like, is it so dark that it doesn't want to talk about it? Like, I get it. It's a very dark, very twisted book, but the sad thing is, other than the weird, twisted relationship that Zayd and Adeline have, it's it's a lot of people's realities.
It
It's
is. And you
something
know
that
what
needs to be
else?
talked about.
Like, strangely, even with all the really fucked up shit, which I'm going to go over that in just a second for trigger warnings, all the fucked up shit that happens in this book, like, I like this one better than Haunting Adeline.
Same. I think because it's got more real world like it's I don't know. I think Haunting Adeline had a more um this weird dynamic, like, why are you falling in love with your stalker? That's weird. That's this. In this one, it's like we actually see a new side of Zayd. We see him take down the rings that are actively trafficking.
Yeah.
Trigger warning.
Yeah, I was saying, let me do the trigger warning real quick.
All right, go ahead.
So, trigger warnings for Hunting Adeline. This is a dark romance that contains rape, graphic violence, and sexual assault, explicit sexual situations, strong language, human trafficking, PTSD, and kinks such as degradation, knife play, blood play, and somnophilia, which is having sex with someone who's asleep. Um, and then the tropes are emotional scars, revenge, touch her and die, and HEA, which I didn't look up what. Oh, happily ever after. Never mind. I don't need to look that up. I'm a little slow this morning.
It's fine.
But that's directly from HD Carlton's website. So
Yeah. And here's the thing. If you're being safe about it, that's fine. But the tropes and the kinks that were utilized in this were really, really bad.
yeah.
And I actually read something somewhere where it was like, I don't personally like what was it? It was something along like, I personally am in the BDSM world. However, so some of these kinks are within what we play with. However, with knife play and blood play, like this can give it a bad rep.
Yeah.
And it's like, you right though, because I was sitting here like, oh, that's fucked up. Like, why would anyone do that? And then I was sitting here like, it's because I'm reading it from this point of view.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just
And I think, oh, that's what I was going to say. I think a lot of the reason that I like this book better is because one of my, I don't know if I'd call it a trope, but kind of, is that healing journey.
mm-hmm.
And so seeing her go from helpless to a fucking badass and growing
I
from something
love that.
horrible that happened to her, that's one of my favorite things. So I think that's partially why I like this book better, because the first half of this book is hard for me to read. Part 1 is extremely hard to read. It's necessary, and it's a lot of, it's truly, I listened to another podcast, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to call anybody out, but on the podcast she was like, it's hard because, or it's interesting to read books because, not this book, but in some books it's like, this happens in real life. And I was like, oh honey, this this book does happen in real life. There are people currently in this situation now in the United States. I guarantee it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, like without a doubt.
so
And it's really weird because reading this and seeing it from like a victim's standpoint and like a victim side of view point of view, and seeing how like they navigate this world, and like those who dive into the madness, because there's a character that
my
literally
fucking
is like,
wait, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Sibby?
no, not Sibby.
Sydney?
Well, I mean, she's, yes, I mean, she's part of the madness, but I'm talking about like the I think her name's
Sydney?
Jessica. Sydney. I knew it was a white girl name.
Jessica.
I don't know. What is some generic white girl name? Um, and I like she literally plays a fucking idiot, like the moron, the one that does anything and everything. But she gets the lesser end of the deal, because if
hmm
she gets bought and sold, who knows what's going to happen? She could end up
Yep.
dying the same day. Like, at
hmm
least here, she's fed minimally, but fed. She's taken care of. She's, whatever. Yeah, she might be raped here and there, but like at this point in time, it's
The
become her
lesser of.
reality. Yeah.
Right.
But she chooses that. So she dives into the madness. And then there's other people there that are like, I'd rather just die, like, than do any of this. And then we have Adeline that's like, I need to survive this. Like, I need to find Zaid.
I need to
And
escape.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, so we see like three different point of views. We see three victims, and it's like, this is actively happening. And here's the thing, reading all of this, and kind of, I try to like compartmentalize, because I didn't want to like dive in too deep. I didn't want to like, I guess when I read a story, I like dive in so deep that I like, because that's how I read. I dive in deep. I try to feel what they're feeling. I try to like, that's what makes the
Not this
story.
one. Not this one.
No, so I try to like, keep that that this is a book. This is real
This is real
life.
life.
I've seen this before, kind of like these three moments, because I worked with child services. So now I didn't explicitly like, you know, get involved with whatever, Zaid was actively getting involved in. But like there was a moment where I got, an emergency call where it was like, hey, there is a 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old that just had a baby. The person who's claiming he's the dad is like 26. Um, that's a little weird. They have no insurance. They're from Illinois. Um,
Mm,
the mom doesn't like, says she's safe. Like it's very scripted. Um, the mom's phone is like, she doesn't know anyone's number. She doesn't know her dad. Like, she doesn't know how to get a hold of her dad. She doesn't know how to get a hold of her mom. Like, it was like every single
sketchy.
question, like, yeah, like typical questions that you would be asking a 16-year-old mother from Illinois with a 26-year-old man. So like they called
Yeah.
and I walked in there and I was like talking to them. So we essentially we opened up two cases. We removed her from her family, because obviously like they're not here. She's with some
Right.
random guy. And we removed the baby. We placed them together to keep that bond. And the dad ended up picking her up from the house, because it had a tracker on the phone. So they escaped to Illinois, and there were two gangs involved. And me and the long-term caseworker, which is called the permanency caseworker, her and I were actively reaching out to multiple gang members and police forces in and out of Illinois. And here's the thing, we're in Indiana. Like, we were in
Right.
Indiana, we were in a small, compared to Chicago, like we were small as hell. Like Indianapolis, the capital of Indiana, is not even as big as Chicago. And so like we are 70,000 people max in this one tiny thing, and that includes like the fucking college town across the river,
Right.
dealing with gang members from Chicago trying to find this child and this 16-year-old girl. Because all we knew was this is probably sex trafficking. This is some type
Yeah.
of human trafficking. And it was just like surreal to be on that side of it. And like the countless times going to Chicago to meet with these gang members in person to be like, do you have the baby? Do you know where this person is? Where is this? Like, let's meet up here. Let's meet up there. Like 3 a.m. trips to Chicago, 3 a.m. trips coming back from Chicago. Like, we spent a lot of time together trying to find this child. And we ended up finding out that the mom like got into a fight and got arrested, and was at a juvenile detention center somewhere up there, and obviously is behind locked everything was stripped from her, so she can't be like anywhere. And from a person we found out that this baby is being held by quote unquote cousins in the African American community. And I think this comes from like the slave times, like when everybody is like your family, because like,
Hmm.
no one knows, but everyone's your cousin. So it was like cousin, not really cousins, family, distant, probably, I don't know. But we go into this house. This house is a shack of nothing in Chicago in the slums. Like police barely wanted to accompany us, but because we are two white females, they were like, we have to come with you because like you're not going to make it out alive. Um,
God.
yeah, and I was like, that's great. Just another day on
Mhm.
the job. That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, that's
So we go
fine.
in here
Totally get paid
and
enough for this.
oh yeah, $18 an hour, you know. That's great. It's like 23-year-old straight out of college, just living my life. Um, in the middle of this 80, 90-degree weather in Chicago in this house that has no air conditioning, I, out of the corner of my eye, see movement out of like a basket. And I was like, what's in there? And they're like, nothing, that's nothing. And I was like, it's fucking moving. There's something over there. And the cop goes over there and whips it back. It's our fucking baby that we've been looking for 4 months.
Oh my God.
And we find it. It's got a contusion on its head. It's like malnourished, and so like we're like, all right, well, fuck you. We're taking this baby. This is Indiana property at this point. Pick the baby up, and it's like 3 a.m. We're in the fucking ER,
Oh my
and I
God.
was like, holy shit, we fucking did that. And like reading this, I was reliving those days, like those countless hours, like 80-hour weeks, just trying to do my job on top of finding this child. And like we couldn't get an Amber Alert out because it was in Illinois, but it was an Indiana case. It was like it was insane. Like crossing state lines literally fucks everybody over. Like you could do an Amber Alert in one state, but because they could be in like two other states, you might not be able to do an Amber Alert over there because it doesn't qualify for their states. And
Ugh.
that's how sex trafficking is so prevalent but so like underground in America, and like nobody understands it. And like reading this book was just like somebody somebody
Right.
has got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. That was my
You're good.
soapbox.
You're good. It's a lot. Like,
Oh
and
god,
I
yeah.
feel like you have to separate it because otherwise, like,
That was the only way.
it could take you down some dark holes.
Hmm.
So,
Oh yeah. It was there was a couple of moments though in the book where I was just like, that humor wasn't really needed.
that was not necessary.
Like Adeline got raped, like anally raped, and she was like, well, I guess no one's gonna hear me fart now. What? I understand you're trying to lessen the blow of what just happened, but that is not a time to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's how some people.
I mean, that's how I would have done it too. Like if I was in her situation, I definitely would have been like, look on the bright side of things.
Oh, I 100% would have been the one that killed myself. Not even gonna lie.
Nah, I would have been like, I probably would have been between Sydney and Adeline. I probably would have been slowly going insane, but
Yeah, I would have been in between Sydney and the one who killed herself.
You're like, oh, you know what? I feel like you'd be that bitch. Okay, so in the for those who haven't read or who won't read or whatever, there's a fucked up thing that happens at this house that the sex traffickers have. All the girls get dressed up in skimpy
Mm,
clothes,
the
whatever.
culling.
Not even, yeah, the culling. I was like, why the fuck would you call it a culling? But all the people that might
Because that's
possibly,
what it is.
oh, I didn't know that until I read it. Game.
Yeah.
I was like, the culling? What? And I was like, oh.
You're like,
um,
oh, like literally? Like,
yeah. I was like, huh? Um, very Hunger Games is what I was assuming.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah, I was
kind of.
like, what? So they,
I know
the
exactly what you're
one,
going to say, though, and absolutely.
yeah, it's the one time that they can actually wear clothes that's comfortable, clothes that's, warm, depending on where they're at, like whatever, because like they're normally wearing heels or they're normally wearing skimpy clothes or whatever, easy access kind of stuff. Um, and all these men who are possibly buying these girls come out and they schmooze everybody and look at the girls. And the culling is where the men hunt the girls, and whoever survive and don't get shot or killed or hurt or anything gets, rewarded.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that because it's not even just like it's not like a regular woods that they're just like
Oh,
run and then they chase after them. No,
it's
it's like a
booby
fucking
trapped.
yeah, and it's like a maze in this bitch's
And
backyard and it's got booby traps like tripwires and
it's midnight, like it's black as shit.
the men
And
have infrared goggles.
yeah, and like actual fucking weapons.
Yeah, and crossbows. Like
Yeah. Like shit that can incapacitate you.
yeah. And if
And
you make it to the end, then you're safe.
yeah, and it's like,
But are you? Like
no.
so like first of all, in this scene, Addie has a plan. Like she's got a plan of how she's gonna make it through. She's got all of this. She's got a fucking stick tied to her fucking ass to run her footprints, like to cover her footprints as she's running, and she's got all this plan. Like she's gonna make it.
Yeah, it's
And
like
then
every 10 feet you gotta jump because that's where the tripwire is.
yeah, and she's got like it's like and they take 17 seconds to reload a crossbow. So like she's like if you
Suck.
hide, they shoot and then you run. You've got 17 seconds to run. She's got all these plans. But then this bitch who is just like terrified and completely I can't even remember what her name was. I can't remember. Phoebe maybe? It was something
Probably.
like that. Phoebe, Daphne, I don't know. Something along those lines. She like attaches herself to Adeline and she's like, "No, bitch, like you're going to get us both killed. Go away." And for a minute they like work together and then the girl gets shot in the leg, am I right? And like falls kind of onto one of the tripwires and like holds it and she ends up letting it go when the man who's hunting her gets close enough and so he gets caught in the trap, but she basically sacrifices herself to save Adeline. So Adeline ends up making it to the end because of this. Well, not because of this girl helping her, but like because the girl fucked her over by giving her location away, she then like saves her. Um
Like
and
I can't even find anything
yeah, I can't remember what her
on.
name is and my Kindle's not in here, so I can't even look it up, but um
Yeah, my Kindle's not in here either.
I want to say she had like an old lady name, like Daphne or Phoebe or um but anyway, this is what happens. And absolutely that would be me. I would be the one like that sacrificed myself for somebody else because I know I'm not going to escape. I know I'm not going to survive this because my mouth going to get me in trouble if nothing else. So I am going to sacrifice myself to save someone else and hopefully die quickly. Um and she only dies quickly. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. So their reward that they get for fucking surviving this horrific incident is
Claire,
McDonald's. Was it Claire? Could be.
the Claire storyline. I don't fucking know. Look, I'm on Reddit
I
trying to
mean,
find it
that's
because
also
I
an
can't
old white
find it
lady
anywhere.
name, so it makes sense to me. I don't know.
Dea.
It's definitely not Dea. Dea's her best friend.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
I haven't read it in a while.
she
I was like, I don't think I could.
Yeah, I listened to the audiobook the second time around, which was a little easier to separate myself from for some reason, but um so they get McDonald's, right, for their prize and Sydney's like fucking ecstatic, like this is the best thing ever. And then they have to dress up and mingle with the guests, which are the men that just tried to fucking hunt them in the woods. First of
Yeah.
all, that alone is fucked up.
And
Then,
for them, they choose who they want. They're just like
yeah,
this rich billionaire is like, I want that one, like looking at Addie, and Addie's like, fuck.
right, like ew, this is just gross. Um but then the worst part of it all, and the other girl tries to warn her. There's like is she Russian girl in there with
Yeah,
Jillian?
something
Um,
like that.
tries to like warn Addie, but they run out of time. And Xavier, who is that gross billionaire, shows up to escort them back to the house, basically. And that she finds out that at the end of this night, that anybody who got shot or got caught during this culling, the winners that made it out that are supposed to have escaped the horror now have to bludgeon the others to death with rocks.
Yeah.
Fucked
It's fucked up.
up. So Adeline, so first of all, Sydney's into it. She's like, "Yeah, let's torture these bitches some more," because they've already been tortured by the person who shot them. Um, and Adeline hits her in the head with a rock to get her to stop, and then she quickly and mercifully um, kills the girl by, I think, shoving a stick through her throat or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so she doesn't have to have her skull crushed in to die. It's so fucked up. And saying it out loud makes me realize how much, like, even more how fucked up it is. Like, I already knew, obviously, but talking about it makes it even more.
I'm like going through somebody's. Oh, I'm going through somebody's like fan cast for the Hunting Adeline
Oh,
thing,
God.
and they're saying Emma Myers is Sibby. Did you watch Wednesday?
Hmm.
She was like the blonde girl, I think.
Oh, I kind of like that.
They're also saying Gwendolyn Christie is Francesca.
I could see that.
Francesca is the matron, the one that like
Yeah.
quote or whatever the girls. And then
The
they're saying Mia
groomer.
Goth as Sydney.
Who?
Mia Goth.
I'm not sure who that is.
So Mia Goth has been in a lot of like horror films recently.
Mm,
Have you seen the one where she's like a farmer's wife or something like that?
no.
Oh yeah, you don't watch. Okay, hold
The
on.
most recent horror film I've seen was Ma, and that's like what 6 years old at this point.
Well, she's been in the acting game for a while. Um,
Okay, but I can see it just from that picture. She looks
Yeah.
creepy.
She's been in Pearl. Pearl's the farmer one. Maxine, X, Infinity Pool, A Cure for Wellness, Emma, Nymphomaniac 1 and 2. She's gonna be in Blade. But like the last 1, 2, 3, 4 movies have been horror movies. And that's
Mm.
been the last 2 years.
Well, this would
Um
kind of be a horror movie, honestly.
yeah.
um,
Okay.
and I feel like thinking about fan casting, I don't have fan casts for most of these characters. The one that I have someone in my mind that I imagine when I'm reading about is Rio, which we will get
Ooh,
into Rio. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Rio. But have you seen Good Girls?
no.
I don't know what the guy's name is, but in Good Girls, there's like basically a gang leader. He's probably a little old to play Rio because I feel like Rio's supposed to be like early 20s, but this guy I think would be perfect.
I think he's
Um,
supposed to be late 20s or like late 20s, early 30s.
Manny Montana.
Ooh, Gemma Archerton for Francesca. Oh, I saw that on my cast. I like him. I like him. Yeah. I see
Yeah.
him right over here. I like
I
him.
can, and like knowing what his voice sounds like and everything, I could hear him saying Princesa and being like, okay.
Yeah. We got Sierra. Is it Sierra?
I don't think so.
Oh, wait, hold on. Claire. I think Claire
Claire
is
is the society leader.
yeah. Mm, Phoebe?
I said Phoebe. I'm pretty sure it's Phoebe.
Phoebe's redhead, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Phoebe.
Yeah.
It's Phoebe. Finally, God, I had to
Okay.
go through
That's
like
what I
8
thought, but
websites.
I wasn't positive. So yeah, her name's Phoebe, and she basically sacrifices herself for Adeline. And yes, that's who I would be. She's also a redhead, so it
Yeah,
makes sense.
she is.
I
Yep.
bet she's a
And
Taurus.
and she also kills one of them, so at least she goes down.
Yeah, she does. She kills the guy that was hunting her.
Yeah. She's like, bye.
Yeah, she gets him in the trap and then like takes his crossbow and shoots him.
Yeah.
But the difference between me and Phoebe is that after shooting him, I would have then reloaded the crossbow.
I would have had somebody been like, hey, I don't think I could shoot myself. Can you shoot me? Or like break my neck.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yo, hey,
survive
yo,
this.
Sydney.
Girl, you like me? No, man, she'd probably fucking torture me.
Yeah.
But
Adeline would have done it if she wasn't
she
running
did
for
it.
her own life. She did
She
it in
did
the
it.
end, yeah.
Yeah, she did it
Oh, that's what
anyways.
she did. She took the crossbow bolt out of Phoebe's shoulder and put that through her throat. That's what she did. It wasn't a stick.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it had a happily ever after. I mean,
It
she
did.
escaped. Zayd came in. Zayd found out. And here's the sad thing. Like, Zayd was like, okay, we gotta, like, break up or whatever because it's... Well, I don't think Zayd did it. I think What's-Her-Face did it because she was just traumatized. And that's
Yeah.
fine. That's completely and utterly fair. But... But, like, they thought she was getting targeted because of Zayd. And actually, she was targeted way before Zayd even became like a problem.
Yep. Claire's husband saw her.
Because she was not
An
necessarily a
author.
famous author, but like her pictures were up everywhere.
Yeah.
In the same area.
And
Because he was a
so
politician.
he had already targeted her.
Yeah.
And she was already on their list. And then she just, honestly, if anything, got lucky that Zayd became obsessed with her and stalked her because she wouldn't have had the strength or the know-how to
Yeah.
escape if not for
Yeah.
Zayd.
Yeah.
She might have had the strength, but not the skills.
Yeah.
Um, Also, the journal. So one thing that helps her get through the days in the house is that she finds this journal under the floorboards.
Lucky for her.
From right from a previous occupant of that room, and it like helps her get through the days just by reading it. And then once she's out of it, she kind of panics because she's like, no, like I need more. How am I going to get through the days? Yada, yada, yada. But then she starts writing her own story in the journal. And she ends up taking the journal with her when she escapes.
I wish she didn't.
Yeah. Well, that house is going to be gone anyway because
Yeah.
Zayd's going to take it out. But um
But
the other thing I was going to say about that is everybody I kept seeing, because as I was like kind of doing some like refreshing for this episode, because it's been a hot minute since we first read these books.
it was January.
Yeah, that's a hot minute.
I always
um,
forget what month it is until I say it was January when we did it.
yeah. Well, and like I read a lot, so like I've
Same.
read many, many books since then. I think my count right now is like 68 for the
Jesus
year.
Christ.
So
I'm over here
um
proud for the amount of books I read in the month of January.
okay, but like I am not normal. Like I'm well aware of that. Um so
Okay,
don't
the amount
compare
of
yourself
books
to
that
me.
you read. Here, this is the way I'll compare myself to you. The amount of books that you read in a year is the amount of games I play in a year.
There we go. And you know how many games I've played this year to completion? One.
I
So,
played 3 or 4 to 100% completion.
oh yeah, and I'm not even like 100% because there's this one. Okay, no, I'm gonna digress for a moment because there's this game that Brittany and I are playing together, and there's this one motherfucking quest, and there's a monkey, and you're supposed to take the monkey to the lady, and then that's basically the quest. The monkey fucking glitched out, and he's gone. Can't find him. His name's Mr. Pickles. That fucking monkey. Can't find him anywhere. He glitched out. He's not where I originally found him. He's not where I left him. He's gone. So it can't finish it to 100% completion, and that pisses me off. Now, that game, you can reset the map, but then you have to do all the quests over again,
Why
not
don't you
just
just
that one.
reload a save point?
I don't know if I can do that. I'd have to look at
M-
it.
Most games have like a save, like an auto save, but they also, if they have an auto save, that means that they have like a, you can like a optional, like to save yourself, like wherever you are
Mm-hmm.
specifically, because like a lot of streamers or like YouTubers or like gamers in general actually will save it before they have to make like a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then they can play one way and then they can go back and play the other way.
I'll have to
So
look
if you
into
go
that because
back,
that fucking monkey pisses me off.
you might actually, it doesn't necessarily like reset the whole thing, but it will pre glitch the monkey.
Well, that might be something I have to do because it pisses me off. But now I'm done digressing and I forget what we were talking about before because that fucking monkey just took over my whole brain.
We were talking about the
Oh, how
amount of
many
books
books? Yeah.
you read a year is how many games I play a year.
Yeah. I'm not normal. I'm aware of that. So don't compare yourself to me. Um,
It's fine. I have these 4 books. I have somebody at work who was like, "You need to read this book." Okay, I bought it. She's like, "Did you read it?" Not yet. I have another girl who's like, "Oh, The Housemaid is such a good series, and it's a quick read." And she just released the 3rd book. I was like, "Okay." Bought the 1st book, and she's like, "Did you read it?" No, not yet. Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 TBR books.
Oh God, sweet, sweet, sweet girl.
And I just keep
That's my
buying them.
TBR. And I know the rest of you on that aren't on the YouTube can't see, but that's probably 100+ books. That's my TBR, except for that top shelf. That's my illustrated Harry Potters. But everything below that and on the cart, that's my TBR. And that's not including my TBR on my Kindle.
I was going to say, that's the TBR that I can see behind me.
Yeah.
And the 3 that I just recently bought. That doesn't include my bookshelf out in the other room that I can't see at all, which is
okay. There we go.
Majority. Yeah, I was going to say that's a majority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The life of a book. See, okay, you know, I shouldn't digress, but I'm going to.
It's fine.
See, this is how we separate the trauma. Because I have a couple of discussion questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
To make you think. But as a child growing up, I always thought, and this was always like, it's still an insecurity for me. I always buy things or start things and then I struggle to finish them. That's why I'm aware. Tell my doctor that. Actually, I'm on not an ADHD med, but I'm on it's called phentermine. Because I got with a new doctor and I looked at her and I was like, I'm just gonna be real with you. Blah 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 blah. And I just word vomited everything. And I was like, so all of this that I just said to you is years of frustration with the health everybody. And my frustration with being put with a male doctor and my frustration with my weight and my frustration with all of this. And I was like, and this has just been an ongoing issue. And I'm $2,500 down the drain because I had a doctor decide to tell me that I have anxiety and I just need to lose weight. And didn't give me answers on how to do it, just told me to do it more holistically. And then that was it. But I had 2 different doctors with the same last name. And there was nobody in the room. And it was just weird to me. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very nervous. And they were just like, it's anxiety. Just lose weight and you'll be fine. I don't want, nor do I need that. I need to try something. Mm-hmm. I am not asking to get on medication to be addicted to it. I am not asking to get on medication to do this. I am asking for help because clearly the holistic ways are not helping.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I'll put you on this combo. This combination does this, and this combination does this. What do you think? I think I could cry and give you a hug right now because the fact that I just gave you a 30-minute spiel and you just in 2 seconds said, yeah, I'll try this. And she's like, I'm your doctor. I'm here to help you and just medically advise you on what you should be doing. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, thank you so much.
I just made an appointment with a new doctor because I got new insurance and I'm very anxious because the only doctors that take my insurance that are accepting new patients at the time are all males. They were all white males as well, which also doesn't help me. But I looked this guy up and he is young. So that's a point in his favor. He's a chunky monk and he makes fun of himself in his bio for being a chunky monk.
Okay.
And he said in his little video bio, first of all, he wouldn't make eye contact with the camera. So that also was okay, I see you. But he said in his little bio, he was like, I'm going to give you my suggested treatment plan. And if that is not something you're comfortable with, then we will work to find something that you are comfortable with. And I was like, okay, cool. Because if I walk in and you tell me to lose weight, I'm going to burst into tears immediately. and be like, okay, I understand that. I understand that. I am not at a healthy weight right now. My knees hurt. My back hurts. Like, I understand that. However, I'm not at a point mentally where I am capable of sticking to a workout plan or a eating plan. I have slowly started making changes to my diet, but we all know that that alone isn't going to do it. So
And
it's just,
the thing
it's
is,
a
if your
whole
mental
thing.
health, yeah, if your mental health isn't like, if you don't keep your mental health healthy, and you know what? I can tie this to Haunting Adeline because you know what? There's a part in the scene where she just like completely and utterly crashed. She stops taking care of herself. Like she stops doing all kinds of stuff. Not that she like gains or loses weight. I think she loses weight because she doesn't eat. But there's like moments where she's like fluctuating ups and downs and highs and lows and crying all the time and just being scared and nervous and like wanting to take down all these people and not wanting to be touched by anybody, not wanting to be doing anything with anyone. Understandable. Here's the thing. Your physical health is not going to be good and it won't change unless your mental health is top tier. Not
Mhm.
necessarily top tier, but like,
But
healthy.
stable, like, yeah.
Yeah. And if you are digressing or not digressing, regressing, sorry, wrong word. If you are regressing, at least I caught it.
You did.
Regressing. If you are um kind of like having that moment of, okay, I want to make these changes, and then you start making those changes and like you're unhappy with yourself and you're unhappy with where you are, you're unhappy with this, you're unhappy with that, that's fine. You're allowed to be unhappy. That's okay, that's part of your feelings. But the problem is that unless your mental health stays stable and doesn't have those ups and downs consistently from various things in life, whether you need medication for that, it's not going to help your physical health. Your physical health will deteriorate one way or another because your mental health is deteriorating. And that's what you see in Adeline. That's what we see in ourselves. That's what we see in our friends and our family when they don't take care of their mental health. We see them like lowering their like you see them slowly like withering away, or not necessarily like in terms of like losing weight and just like depressive kind of stuff, but like you just see the mental health take form in the way of their physical body health. And it's like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what you try to do with them. You can try to be their support all they want, but it's like until doctors or until they go and advocate for themselves to get the right mental health treatment, to get this, to get that, it's not
Yeah.
going to really help you. And I think January was kind of a time, and I mean, I haven't looked at my tarot for June yet, which I need to, and like type it out and be prepared for next episode on that. But I think January, like when I was reading this, I was kind of looking at like the mental health aspect of it, and I was like, man, her mental health is deteriorating, so is her physical health. And like that's
Yeah.
why people talk about having that. You need to take those mental health days. You need to do this, you need to do that. So when my boss at PetSmart was like, fuck this place, man. Like, if you need a break, it'll still be standing here. If you die here, if you die tomorrow, if you die whenever, and you've given your nothing but your all to this job, we will be looking for a new position tomorrow. And
Yeah.
that is not anything on us. That is just how the business is ran. And
Mhm.
that and he's like, that's, we're not saying that we're not going to host something for you. That's not, we're not saying that we're not going to do this for you or do this for this or that.
But you're replaceable.
Yeah. And he's like, but you're replaceable. And that's what you need to understand, that you need to take your moments. You need to take your breaks. You need to take your 15s if you need it. You need to take your your whatever, you need to keep your mental health healthy. And I'm like, bitch, you need to do the same thing, you fucker. Like, you're not helping either. But like, I really like my new job because my new boss is essentially a healthier, mentally healthier version of my PetSmart boss. And she's always tells us, she's just like, if you don't take your vacation time, like you lose it. When you're on vacation time, like I don't expect to call you. I don't expect you to answer anything. If I see you answering something, I'm going to get really mad. Like, don't come in here. Don't do this. Don't do that. I will tell you if I'm on vacation. I will tell you like not to answer, or like I will tell you I will not answer. Like I will tell you if I'm available, if I'm not there right on time, kind of thing. Um, she tells her husband that all the time because he works at Boeing. She's like, you are not important to them. You are a
No.
safety person. You're just making sure people are being safe there. So you are essentially being owned by this company, and that's why you get paid so much. So you going around bitching about all this stuff, you get good benefits, you get paid well. It's because they own you. You get paid 25% of your retirement each time that you like pay 10% of your retirement out of your paycheck. It's because they own you. But you do not need to work 80 something fucking hours a week for a company or for somebody who does this. And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
mental health fucking matters, people.
Yes, it does.
That's my other soapbox for the day. Okay.
This is only
Anyways.
the first episode of the day. I'm sure there'll be more. But what are your
Oh,
discussion questions?
listen. Okay. So this is about generational trauma because we come from a family of generational trauma,
Oh
and
God, yeah, we do.
yeah. So I kind of want to know. So the question is, the generational trauma and mystery surrounding the women of Adeline's family culminate in her own in their own experiences. How do you think the resolution of these mysteries impact the characters' relationships between the women, like the mother and the daughters? Do you think like her having a relationship with her stalker is breaking the family curse, or do you think it's actually continuing the unresolved cycle of danger with like the unresolved trauma of mother and daughter?
I think that it's different than her grandmother's situation.
Oh, do we find out about her grandmother in the second book or the first book?
The first book.
That it wasn't that who killed the grandmother?
Yeah, it's the first book.
It's the first book. Okay.
Yeah. But still, I think that Addie is going about things differently and she's accepting that she is making this choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is choosing Zaid over and over and over again and she's choosing this life. So cuz she could have not. Like he would have still stalked her, but like she could have tried to go to the police or go to someone. She could have had a side thing with Rio in that house. Like all kinds of things
Yeah,
could
she
have
could have.
happened. She could have. Um, but she didn't. And she's not allowing her mom to tell her one way or the other. And her mom is not trying to, honestly. Her dad is, but her mom is trying to have a relationship with her anyway. So I feel like
However
she's playing
weirdly
with it.
convoluted it is, but yeah.
Yeah.
I figured you'd go that way, but
I do want to know more though about, and I'm hoping that we find out in Satan's Affair, but I want to know more about who this like guy was with her mom that was like her therapist or her home health care worker or whatever that knows Sibby and like runs off with Sibby in the end.
yeah, right. I was like,
I,
who
I
was that?
sincerely hope that we find out who that is in Satan's Affair because it's supposed to be someone from Sibby's past, right? So
Yeah,
Satan's
and
Affair is supposed to
they
be
were
out when
part of
she
a
was,
cult.
yeah. Satan's Affair is supposed to be about when she was at the haunted house and like murdering people. Um, I don't know. I'm hoping that we find more out about that.
Yeah. Um, okay, let's see.
Did you go the same way with
Yeah,
that
I did.
question? Yeah.
I was sitting there, I was like, I feel like in a way it's like continuing the like weird abuse thing because like if it all comes out, like her mom's gonna be like,
What the fuck?
that's how your grandma died. But because they did solve the murder of the grandma, I feel like Addie can use that as like a yes, it was weird. Yes, it's a thing. Yes, it happened. However, like he didn't kill her. He didn't do this. It wasn't anything. It was weird. Yes, but it wasn't this.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. Like it was the best friends whatever and like
That
grandpa
was so fucked
did
up.
it. Yeah. Um excuse me, Steam. Why are you up? I said no. Um
I was really confused for a second because I was like, I don't see any steam, and then I realized what the fuck you were talking about.
oh, it like popped
Like
up over here and I was like, "Oh,
my mind took that very literally, and I was like,
it's fine." Yesterday, we were at the like little peach festival and we went to this little place or like this little tiny stand called Spellbound. Um, I got snake skin for my friend who works with Loki, and that's like his thing is snake skin. And she was like, "Oh, so do you work?" Because I told her I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get this for my friend because of her deity." And she goes, "Oh, who do you work with?" And Will's behind me like, I wonder if she's going to tell her like she works with Fee or she works here, or she works at PetSmart or something like that. And I'm over here like, I haven't found who I work with yet. They haven't really come to me. I'm not really sure how to go about it. I'm still trying to like figure out how to do all of this. And I'm still like working on my mental health to open up my channels. And Will's like, oh. Because we were walking back to the car and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I thought you were going to say I work with Fee. I was like, bro. Okay. So, oh fuck, where is it? Okay, so this is all about. Okay, so we are rebels at heart. Like we hate the government. We hate everything involved with it. So this is about the society and Mark Williams. Mark Williams, for those who don't remember, or don't know, is a
not
he is a
anymore, he's not.
politician. Yeah, I know.
Not anymore,
He's a
he's not.
politician.
Sibby took care of that.
Yeah. So Mark Williams was a politician. He was essentially what he claimed to be one of the head honchos in the world. And he also was pretty high up there in the society. Unbeknownst to him and everybody else, his wife was actually the leader of the society. But anyway, so the society, represented by Mark Williams, illuminates the existence of clandestine powers, abuses of power. In what ways do elements within the novel reflect real world concerns about human trafficking and corruption? And how effectively do you think this narrative tackles these deeply pervasive issues?
Oh, it's listen.
Do you have
It's
any real world like examples? Any
I
real world politicians possibly involved in world trafficking right now?
listen. Are we talking about
Maybe
felony Melanie
one.
here?
Mm-hmm. Maybe one grabbing somebody
Oh my gosh.
by their private parts.
I'm not gonna say any names because I don't want any backlash, but we all know who we're talking about.
If my face don't say it,
And I
my
feel like
words do.
it's so real. Because listen, I can't. I have no words. The only thing I have to say about that is if you haven't already and you live in really anywhere, but specifically in the United States, look up Project 2025. Um, And if you're not as horrified as about it as I am, then I don't know why you're listening to this podcast. But
We ain't the people for you.
yeah, the tenants and the things, the plans that they have will make it so much easier for not only human trafficking but drug trafficking and weapons trafficking and all of those things to exist, because it takes away a lot of the um like surveillance, I guess,
Hmm.
um in the guise of protecting us and keeping our freedoms, when in reality they're just trying to control everyone and make us all cookie cutter copies of each other and make themselves lots of money.
Yeah.
It's just that's the whole that question could be an entire episode on this podcast. Um, but I don't have I would need more preparation time for that.
I
um,
don't think I have enough. I feel like I would just be yelling
yeah, I
the
a
whole
lot of it
time.
it would get me very heated, but if you don't think that there are people in our government that 100% prop up these systems and um, like participate willingly and happily in them, you're a fucking idiot. So
Yeah. And I think it honestly, it really makes me sad too, because it's like I have family members that support this specific politician,
I do too.
and then I have the female counterparts, like the wives of these politician or not politicians, but of these family members that don't necessarily outright support him. Like they don't share things, they don't publicly say that they support him, but
My
they don't
mother does.
publicly, yeah, but they don't publicly denounce him. But then they share things that talk about women's rights or women's this or women's that. And I'm sitting here like, how can you actively share this knowing your husband is supporting somebody who is sharing this?
Hmm.
And it just, it
Yeah.
makes me really sad because like this person's like, oh, I support you in whatever you do, Emily. And I'm like, your husband don't.
Yeah.
Your husband doesn't even support my uterus. What do you mean?
Or yours, for that matter.
She don't got one.
Oh,
She got rid
well,
of it.
lucky bitch.
Well, she had a kid already.
Oh, sorry. That's
Well, she already
unfortunate.
had. She was married. She had a kid. Like they were divorced, and she was a
Hmm.
single mom forever. And yeah, like she's 60s. Like she's my dad's age, but like
Hmm.
also my dad is in his 60s. What the fuck?
Yeah, we're getting old, but it's fine.
I don't feel old. That's the thing.
I don't either. We're not. We're not. Like,
You
and
know what's really
honestly,
cool?
these days, 60 isn't even that old. Like,
Yeah. You know what's sad though? You gotta work until you're like 60 something, and like the average person in America dies at
they're trying to
75. And
change
I'm
it to
like,
70.
yeah. And you die 5 years later? Fuck you.
Right. Like, okay.
But I don't know. It just makes me really sad. And like a lot of my family members are like, you don't talk to us. Like, why don't you ever talk to your grandmother? Why don't you talk to us? And I'm like, because I don't know what to talk to you guys about. I can talk to you about anything. You want me to tell you about my new job? Great. What's going to happen when that dies down? Yeah, Will and I are still together. What happens when that conversation ends?
Right. We
Like,
don't
what am
have
I
the same
doing this?
interests. We don't have the
Like,
same beliefs. We don't have the same values. Why would I want to talk to you? Because we have
yeah,
the same blood? Fuck that.
yeah. And it's like, you guys don't try to talk to me. You guys don't
That's the
text me.
one. That's the
Yeah.
one. We
I was like,
never
you
see
guys,
you anymore. You never come around. You never invite me.
you never invite me. Not that like you can invite me. Like I have my cousins' wives invite me more than my own cousins.
My
Every
dad's side of the
single
family, every time I see them, you never come around anymore, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, I never know when you all are doing something. Like,
yeah.
oh, well, your dad knows. Yeah, and I speak to him maybe once every 3 months. if that.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't tell me. So and then my aunt was like, "Oh, well, I'll make sure I start inviting you, blah 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 blah." This was right before Christmas that year, or well, it was a couple months before Christmas. It was right before Thanksgiving. Didn't get an invite to Thanksgiving or Christmas. So don't ask me where I've been and why I'm not coming around
Because you ain't
because
invited
right, like and I'm not going to beg to be a part of your life when we are so vastly different and we have very different beliefs and values. Like I I'm not going to push to be in your life cuz
me. I feel like this is what Adeline was trying to say to her mom, like all those
yeah.
times, and Adeline was like, "No." And here's the thing: it's not like I don't want to talk to my dad. I do want to talk to my dad. The problem is like I don't want to talk on the phone because like I'm
Yeah.
always doing something or I'm like watching something, and it's just easier for me to text, unless like I actively have to say like the other night when I called you, I was like, I have to spit this out. There's too many things to
Yeah.
say. But like he doesn't like texting, and I'll be like, I don't think dad wants to talk to me right now. And he was like, I don't think he just wants to text. I think he wants to call you. I'm like, I don't want to call. I want to
Right?
text.
No, thank you. I don't
So
want to do
like,
either.
yeah, that's where our communication problems are
Our
with my
biggest my
father.
biggest issue with my dad is that we are both low maintenance friends, so neither of us want
You disappear for
to
5 years. Hey, bestie,
yeah.
how you doing?
Right. So neither of us are the ones that are going to initiate that conversation.
Yeah,
Um, but also my biggest issue is that it's always me who's putting in the effort.
yeah.
And I don't have time for that. Like I don't. And he is also a um, supporter of
Yeah.
that.
My my dad was a supporter of the politician too. Um, I don't think he is so much anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. Here's the thing. I haven't really tried to open that can of worms up with him.
Mm-mm.
I know he's actively not a fan of the other politician.
It's me neither. Like
Yeah, and I was like, I mean, who is, to be honest?
right. Like
The thing is, though, he's not actively talking about, oh, well, this person's the better option. Like, he's just like, they all suck. Like,
yeah.
like, he's starting to say, like, they all suck. And I think because ever since mom passed and like we've not necessarily been forced to like have that relationship, but like we've been, forced to have those types of conversations. I think he's starting to see like my side of you or starting to realize that like I'm not going to take you talking like that. And if you are, I will actively call you out on it. And if it's going to make you uncomfortable,
Yeah.
sorry.
Mine is usually I not that I'll necessarily call them out because I have generational trauma where I tend to sit down and shut up around my parents. I don't
Oh,
challenge
yeah. I
them
used to
very
do that.
often. Um, and so now I go radio silent. I will ghost the fuck out of you. Like, and that's how I usually handle it. Um, but I will
See,
say that my dad has had done a lot of growth since he met his new wife. So we'll see.
yeah, it's kind of weird too, like who you're with and who like supports you.
Yeah.
Like Adeline was like cool to just like stay away from everybody. And then when she meets Zayd, she's just like, okay, well, like, yeah, I'm involved, kind of more involved now, but like
Yeah.
now she's like eye opening to everything. But also, I think too, with her family, I think she's having more of a because Zayd was like, I had a great relationship with my family. I
Yeah.
didn't have any problems. And I think she's just like, oh, okay. And so I think not necessarily that she's trying, but I think she's like more willing to work on it.
Yeah.
And I think with Will's like, I don't think my other siblings call my parents as much as I do. And I want to make sure that my parents know that I'm thinking about them. So I want to make sure that I call them when I can. He's like, if I'm not doing anything, like I try to call at least once a week. He's like, I've been very busy, so I haven't really been able to do that, but I still, think about it or text them or reach out or something like that. And he's like, because I still want to keep that relationship. I still want to, keep that
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, it's just so crazy, like who you're with, who you're around helps, build those bridges back and helps break down those generational trauma because like my mom was always the black sheep. She was the partier. She was the one, yeah, she was the one that would like go out and get fucking wasted, shit faced, high as hell, like whatever, but she'd be back by curfew. So she wouldn't get in trouble. My aunt
Hmm.
would never do any of those things, but she would fall asleep and miss curfew and then get in trouble and grounded. She wouldn't be doing anything bad. She would just miss the one rule that she was told to do.
Hmm.
And my mom, I don't want to call her a drug dealer, but like
Mm.
she told me one time that she made great money by buying mass amount of pills out of a nursing magazine in high school and sold to all her buddies. And I was like, okay. Um, but I was like, that's thank you for telling me that. Um, I was in high school too when she said that to me. But like she was the black sheep. She was the one who like called people out. But there was also times where I saw her sit down, shut up.
Yeah.
And then there were times where I saw my grandparents sit down, shut up kind of stuff. And I was just like, why is it that like one thing triggers us to do that and then like other times like we don't get triggered to do that?
Mm-mm.
Listen, my mom was scary as fuck. Like I sat down, shut up a lot with her.
I'm usually a sit down and shut upper, or I leave. Like,
Not with my extended family. Like I call everybody out. I like look at them. I'm like, did you really do that? Like you're
yeah,
fucking stupid. With my mom,
I'm.
if she like looks at me, I'm like, sorry, mom. Mainly because she's been there. She's done shit like this.
Yeah.
Like if I fucked up and she's looking at me like that, like I know I fucked up. But okay. Anyways, this is off topic a lot. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
we
okay.
went way off topic, but it's okay. Good
We're
conversation.
we're bringing it back too. Okay. Anyways, until next time.
Bye.